Guys, I'm really nervous. I have to appear for the IELTS. No, wait, IELTS. Can't even say the name of the test properly. And now you're panicking if you'll be able to say anything at all to your examiner at IELTS. Well, don't worry. Even if you can't speak English, I guarantee you can do well in your IELTS test. Stick with me, I'll tell you why. I am Asmita, your IELTS mentor here at Vedantu. And before we get started, did you know that there's this amazing channel at your disposal to help all your study abroad dreams come true? Well, if you didn't know that, you do now. All you have to do is subscribe to the Vedantu Study Abroad YouTube channel, follow Vedantu Study Abroad on Telegram, and you're going to get the best mentorship, the best counseling for each step of this very daunting process. So there you are, all sorted. Now coming to your second problem, which is I can't even speak English. I've never been able to hold a conversation in English for longer than a minute. What am I going to say to my IELTS examiner? This is a very valid concern, a very valid problem, and luckily it has a very simple solution. You see, as Indians, we see English around us everywhere. And did you know that the first step to any kind of language acquisition is exposure to the language? We've got plenty. We've had plenty of English exposure ever since we were babies. We can thank the British colonial rule, not really, but anyway. So here we are, signboards, different boards, names of places, warning signs, everything we see around us, everything that we're taking a look at every day is in English. Yeah, sure, you'll have another language written along with it, depending upon where you live, but you'll always see the same thing written in English as well. So we can all easily read English, we can all easily understand English. We are also very familiar with the English script. We all know the Latin script, right? How often do you actually type in Devanagari or Tamil? You know that you most often just say whatever you want to say in your regional language, but in the English script. So we are familiar with the language, we know the basic words, we know sorry, thank you. Chances are you know a lot of words in English that you don't know in your regional language. So it's not like we are not acquainted with English. We can say we're pretty good friends with English. We know the script. You know, there are students from many different countries who don't even know the English script because all they see around them is Russian or Chinese. So they have to struggle with this first step. Luckily, you don't because you've been seeing English all your life, right? And as a matter of fact, it's safe to assume that most of you watching this video have also studied in English. You've gone to English medium schools, and unfortunately, sadly, the state of our education system is such that not a lot of focus is given uh, to communicative English, being able to talk in English. But all our syllabus actually is in English, right? You've studied social science, you've studied science, even mathematics in English, right? You haven't studied Ganit, you've studied from the mathematics textbook. And this applies to the majority of you. There might be some of you who come from Hindi medium and still, keeping the first 2 points I told you in mind, you've seen a lot of English around you, right? So it's not that we don't understand English. Understanding is fine. We listen to English songs, we watch English movies, we get what is being said. We even read the newspaper, we understand what is being said. The problem is not the input, the problem is the output. Now, after hearing, listening, reading, understanding, we are not able to communicate our thoughts in English. The good thing is you've got two parts of the test covered, right? So because you can speak, you can't speak, but you can understand English, we have our listening and we have our reading parts covered. You won't struggle too much with this. What will you struggle with? Where does the struggle come in? The struggle comes in with writing and speaking, and more so with speaking, because even in writing, the one thing that's not required is confidence. You might struggle trying to figure out your thoughts and trying to communicate what you have to say, convey what you have to say in English. You might struggle with that in writing as well, but speaking comes with this additional issue of not having confidence. So this small part of the test becomes the most daunting, the most scary part of the test for most people, right? But then what's holding you back from speaking? I'll tell you something from personal experience. There was a time in my life where I was trying to learn Punjabi. And the thing is, I can read Punjabi, I can write in Punjabi, I listen to Punjabi songs, I can watch Punjabi movies and understand everything that is being said. But the only thing I couldn't do was speak. You know why? Because people's Punjabi friends and family made fun of my accent. My accent wasn't quite there, wasn't Punjabi enough. And just because a few people made fun of me initially, I lost all my confidence and completely gave up on trying to speak Punjabi. And the same thing is happening with you when it comes to English. Maybe you tried. Maybe someone mocked the way you spoke, mocked your accent. Maybe you pronounced a word incorrectly and somebody made fun of you for that. And now you have just lost all your confidence. So the only thing that's actually holding you back is what other people think of you. What's holding you back is your lack of self confidence. But you need to get that back, and you need to get it back for yourself. You've seen this dream, it's almost real in front of you, where you're going to go to whichever university you're planning to go to, and you're going to perhaps settle down in a different country, and all of that means everything to you. And the only roadblock in your way is this one test, English speaking test. Come on, you've probably studied a really difficult subject, be it, one of the humanities subjects, be it a science, be it mathematics. You were able to study hard, do well, and now you have a bright future ahead of you. If you could do that, then this is nothing, because the IELTS test doesn't really test your mastery in the English language. All it's really testing is whether you're able to get your point across to a native speaker. And because native speakers also make mistakes, it's okay for you to make mistakes, as long as you're making the kind of mistakes that native speakers make. All right. So all it's testing is whether you can communicate with the native speakers. If you're comfortable with the English language, the way native speakers are comfortable with the language, and if you're making and if you're able to get your point across regardless of your accent. So another thing that a lot of people think is that, okay, now I'm preparing for IELTS speaking, I'll have to change my accent. No, you don't have to change your accent. Indian accent is a completely valid accent. All you have to do is make sure that when you're talking, you are the other person is able to understand what you're saying. Okay, so that's what's holding you back. Now, how do we get past this roadblock? What do we do? I'm not going to tell you some random motivational, I'm not going to give you a speech over here. This is not a motivational talk. I'm going to give you some actionable points that you need to do. And the good part here is all of this is actually quite fun to do. So the IELTS test, it shouldn't be considered like a very serious exam that if you don't pass, your future's ruined. No, it's something you can prepare for while enjoying yourself. It's something which you actually also do in your daily life without realizing. Let me tell you how. The first thing you need to do is consume content. Yes, you heard that right. I am asking you, an educator on an online platform is asking you to spend your time watching shows, watching movies. That's never happened, right? But you need to do that. But make sure you're not changing the audio of whatever you're watching. The audio remains in English. As a matter of fact, if you're watching, I don't know, Japanese anime or a German psycho thriller, you change the audio to English. The dub needs to be in English. Whatever you're watching till the time of your test, please just watch it in English. Preferably consume content from the country that you're planning to emigrate to. If you're going to America, American shows are for you. If you're going to UK, watch British shows. Try to understand the kinds of words and phrases that native speakers use. And the only way to do that, the only way to get a realistic picture of how native speakers talk without actually making an effort to find Americans or Britishers and talking to them, is consuming content. You can also find Americans and Britishers in popular tourist destinations if you want to travel and prepare for the IELTS, but that's not very wise. Easiest thing for you to do is this. Okay, and you will also learn idiomatic expressions, the kind of things that Britishers usually say versus the kind of things that Americans usually say, because there is a little bit of a cultural difference in language as well, right? For example, let me give you, I watched, I don't know, yeah, it was Panchayat, the show Panchayat, which was set in a rural area in North India. And for the week after watching that, I was speaking the way somebody from UP, a rural town in UP would. Even though I was not born and raised in UP, I have no real insight into how people from rural UP actually talk. But just by watching that show, binge watching that show, I was able to pick up on their accent, their way of talking, their way of reacting. Probably happened to you as well. So the same thing will happen to you if you consume content from the countries that you are planning to travel to, that you're planning to study in. All right. The second thing you need to do, and you know, a lot of people might have given you this advice to translate everything you're saying into English. Don't do that. Please trust me, do not do that. I'll give you an example. So one time I entered a debate competition in college, and I was debating with someone who wasn't very well versed in the English language, but the debate was in English, so he had to comply. Now, what he wanted to say at one point was, "मैंने हाथ खड़े कर दिए," which in Hindi means I gave up. Okay, मैंने हाथ खड़े कर दिए. That means you stopped trying, you gave up. But instead of saying मैंने हाथ खड़े, instead of saying I gave up, which would be the translation of मैंने हाथ खड़े कर दिए, he ended up saying I stood my hands. Now, I stood my hands means nothing in English. But what is it? It's a direct translation of हाथ खड़े कर दिए. And that's where the problem with translating from Hindi, from Tamil, from Bengali to English is that there are some phrases, there are some words that we use differently in these languages, and if you translate them directly into English, you're going to make a nonsensical sentence. Okay, for example, मुझे गुस्सा आ गया. मुझे गुस्सा आ गया means not anger came to me, means I got angry. So in Hindi, gussa aa gaya means anger came to me, which would be a direct translation, but that means absolutely nothing in English. That's the wrong way of saying this. So what you want to say is I got angry. So how are you going to solve this problem? You're going to combine 1 and 2. Instead of translating everything that you want to say from Hindi to English directly, you are going to figure out what you want to say in whatever language, whatever your regional mother tongue is. And then after you've figured out what you want to say, you're going to think back to everything that you've read, everything that you've seen, maybe podcasts that you've listened to, contents that you watch, and remember and recall how somebody who's a native speaker of English would say this. How would a native speaker convey the same emotion? And once you have that in your head, that's how you're going to convey. And that is how you think in English. That's the way to think in English. To figure out the emotion, the thought, the idea, whatever it is that you want to convey, and recalling how a native speaker would say it. No translating happening over here, okay? Direct translations will land you in trouble. Number 3, the whole self-confidence thing I was talking about, yes, you need to work on that. And the only way you can work on that is to make a fool of yourself. Now think about it. Is it better for you to make a fool of yourself in front of your brother, your sister, your parents, your best friends? Or would you rather make a fool of yourself in front of complete strangers, foreigners in a foreign country, in a university? That's so much worse. It's better to make a fool of yourself in front of people who know you and who will judge you anyway because they've seen who you are ever since you were little, right? So please make a fool of yourself and start speaking in English. Mess up, make mistakes. Making mistakes is the best way to learn. Keep doing it, make a mistake, learn from it, make another one, learn from it, make a fool of yourself, learn to laugh at your own self. Say something blatantly wrong and then laugh it off, laugh at yourself. Don't take this entire process too seriously. Only that's, if you take too much pressure, you're just never going to be able to learn. You can't learn a language in like 3 weeks or 4 weeks. It's something that takes a lifetime. How do babies, how do toddlers learn languages? They just keep listening to it. They mumble, they say the randomest things that make no sense, and that's slowly how they acquire a language. Think of yourself as a baby, as a toddler, and do the same thing. Don't be too harsh on yourself. Just learn to laugh it off, okay? Practice, practice, practice. And finally, practice with real test prompts. So now, once you've gotten comfortable and familiar with the English language, you are going to see the test prompts from the actual test and learn to convey your thoughts based on those prompts, okay? So that will be a very specialized way of preparing for the test. And the prompts are, we have prompts that have been repeating for a long time. It's the same thing that's asked a little differently over and over again. So you'll get a list of these prompts when we do actual academic speaking sessions. I'll take you through all of these prompts. We'll practice all of this together. Okay, so here I'm giving you an actionable, something you need to do after you watch this video. This is prompt 1. So you're going to follow this step. Box 1 is what you do first, box 2 next, box 3 last. Okay, so box 1 is your general introduction, where the examiner will ask you a question and you're just supposed to convey your thoughts on those questions. 2 is your cue card. You'll get a cue card, and whatever's written on it, you're supposed to talk about it. And 3 is a discussion based on the cue card. Okay, so what you're going to do is you're going to go through these prompts and you're going to try and frame your thoughts in English, practicing it. And don't come and cry to me that, hey, I have no friends and my family doesn't care, no one's practicing with me. You have a mirror, right? Practice in front of the mirror, record yourself. You have a phone, record yourself talking, play it again, see how you can improve and keep that exercise going. Okay, so here's prompt 1, which is, do you like shopping? How often do you go shopping? And do you prefer online shopping or in-store shopping? See, nothing too difficult. It's not testing your knowledge. It's not testing how much you know about online versus actual retail. None of that. It's just testing how well you can communicate your thoughts. Your thoughts are not being judged. Your language is being judged. Okay, now the cue card here asks, describe a time you received good news. Here's what all you should say, what the news was, who told you, how you felt, and why it was important. And then a discussion based on the cue card. Why do people like sharing good news? Is bad news often exaggerated in the media? How does social media affect the way we share news? All right, practice talking about this, and perhaps we can discuss these prompts the next time we meet in a live session. Okay, here's prompt number 2. Again, this one about music, about a concert you attended, and just a general discussion about how important music is. So this is your homework of sorts that you need to practice with these prompts. All right, and then after following these steps, you can absolutely start speaking English. You can absolutely ace your IELTS test. That's my promise, my guarantee to you. All right, that's it for today's video. But before you go anywhere, there is a link in the description of this video which has a counseling form. It's the study abroad counseling forms, where you will have an expert to solve all your problems, to answer all your queries, take care of whatever it is that you want to do, wherever it is that you want to go, end to end. All right, so do not forget to fill out this counseling form, which is in the description. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel, like the video, share it with your friends who are also struggling with the same issue, and follow us on Telegram so you don't miss out on any of the updates. I will see you again next time. Take care. Bye-bye.